Have you ever tried to hold on to water? It slips through your fingers, no matter how tightly you grasp it. Alan Watts once likened control to water. It cannot be contained, only experienced. What if the peace you're seeking isn't found in grasping, but in letting go? In a world that demands we plan, predict, and control our every step, the weight of uncertainty can feel unbearable. Yet, there lies a paradox. The more we try to control, the more chaos we find. Today we pause to journey with Alan Watts, a modern philosopher who bridged East and West to illuminate timeless truths. His message is clear, but not easy. Inner peace is not in the grip of control, but in the release of it. Let us walk through the landscapes of uncertainty and freedom to discover how life can unfold when we let go. Picture yourself in a vast ocean, trying to gather waves into your hands. The harder you try, the more the water disperses, defying your intentions. Alan Watts believed life works in much the same way. Control, he argued, is but a mirage, an illusion we chase to quell our fears of chaos. And yet, chaos and unpredictability are the true rhythms of life. Rather than fearing them, Watts urged us to see them as dance partners, guiding us into harmony with existence. Stop measuring days by degree of productivity and start experiencing them by degree of presence. How profound when we think about our daily lives, frantically striving for perfection, for certainty. In the end, these quests often leave us exhausted rather than fulfilled. Consider this. What moments in your life truly mattered the most? Were they planned? Or were they the serendipitous ones, where control slipped away but something magical remained? Perhaps it is time to see the slipping water not as failure, but as freedom. Watts beautifully described life as flowing, unpredictable. He likened it to a river that is always changing direction, yet always finding its way. He implored us not to resist the current nor cling to its banks, but to flow with it. The unknown, he said, is not our adversary, but our teacher. It is in uncertainty where we find growth, where life becomes rich and unpredictable, and ultimately meaningful. Imagine embarking on a journey with no map, no fixed destination. At first you might feel fear, but as the journey unfolds, you begin to notice the beauty in the unplanned, strange paths, unexpected encounters, and stories you could never have predicted. Watts believed life itself is such a journey, a story that cannot be planned, only lived. He said, life exists only at this very moment, and in this moment it is infinite and eternal. Reflect on this. How much of your day is spent trying to avoid life's uncertainties? And what would change if you leaned into the unknown instead? Now pause for just a moment. Think of one uncertainty you're facing, perhaps in your career, your relationships, or a choice you've been avoiding. What if you allowed yourself, even for a brief time, to let it be undefined? Not to solve it, but to live alongside it. Could you imagine the clarity and peace that might unfold in the absence of resistance? One of Watts' most enduring lessons is the idea that letting go is not loss, but liberation. Yet letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing your grip on how life should unfold and choosing instead to experience it as it is. Watts argued that holding on tightly to expectations is like clinging to the past or the future. It robs us of the present. Modern life seems tailor-made to test this wisdom. Social media inundates us with polished images, curated successes, and the illusion of lives fully under control. Yet behind these images lies the same unpredictability we all face. What if you could break free from the endless comparison, the endless striving? By opening our hands and our hearts to the present moment, we cease to demand that life conforms to our terms. And in doing so, we often find joy waiting unexpectedly, like sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. Watts reminded us, when you try to stay on the surface of the water, you sink. But when you try to sink, you float. Life, it turns out, obeys its own gentle paradoxes. The freedom we seek is not further away, but closer than we dare imagine. It is nestled in the space between fear and surrender, the fragile yet resilient heart of uncertainty. As we pause to reflect, let me ask you, where in your life are you most tightly gripping the reins? Perhaps it is in your work, your relationships, or your vision of how things should be. What happens if you loosen that grip? Just a little? Take a moment tonight to sit in stillness. Ask yourself, what are you truly clinging to? Allow yourself to feel the weight of it, and then gently imagine letting it slip away, like water through your fingers. What remains is not emptiness, but freedom. Can you make space for that? Alan Watts teaches us that life cannot be forced into a shape of our choosing, nor can it be kept still. It must be lived raw, unpredictable, alive. Peace is not the absence of turbulence, but the art of floating through it, unafraid. So, as you carry these ideas into your day, what will you let go of? And what beautiful, unruly truth will you discover in its place? After all, life is not about holding on. It is about flowing endlessly into the unknown. What is one thing you are clinging to that you could release today? Have you ever experienced a moment of profound peace when you stopped trying to control everything? What was that like? If this exploration resonated with you, join the Mindscapes community by subscribing. Share your own story of letting go in the comments. Your journey might inspire someone else to take the first step toward freedom.